The Barrel House is brought to you by you, the listener, and those of you who have chosen to support the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse, especially our Whiskey Legend tier patrons, Greg, Katie, Lauren, and Joe. Without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Hello, and welcome to the Barrel House. Hello and welcome back to the Barrel House. I am your host, Joe Kane, and I am damn glad to be here. I hope you are too. Hope you're doing well. It's been a crazy winter. It's been so up here in Connecticut, it's supposed to be 65, 68 tomorrow, and then on Thursday, it's supposed to be, 20 and snowing. It's been like that up and down pretty much nonstop. Crazy windstorms. Weather all over the place. I feel like we're living in the beginning of the apocalypse. Maybe we are. Who knows? If I go, I'm gonna go with a belly full of whiskey, though. That's for sure. I had a pretty good tasting with a couple of friends last weekend. It's been really cool. These brief opportunities to get a little tastings in and enjoy the whiskey with friends like it's supposed to be, instead of in my basement alone like a sad old man. Working on that part piece by piece. So let's get into it, because I feel like we kind of have a lot to cover. So upcoming whiskeys. This is not a complete list here, and I may do another one of these. I'm gonna pour a little Elijah Craig Barrel Proof here while I'm looking at this list here, which includes Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Since y'all know how much I love this stuff. This is sort of a list of some things I'm interested in, some things I may not actually bother to go out and get because the price tag is a little bit on the crazy side, and others I may actually pick up because I'm just interested in these as a whole. I may do another one of these episodes before the year is out to kind of cover the second half. This is mostly the first half, although there is some months where releases aren't really announced yet, so who knows? Maybe there'll be some more here to talk about in the more near future than the second half of the year. But first things up, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A and B batches. The C batch will come towards the end of the year. I think the first half-ish, maybe a little bit deeper in, we'll cover both the A and B. As you know, the B batches have been my favorite overall. If you've listened to the episodes, I've really liked the A batches. I'm drinking a B batch right now, although I do think last year the A batch was a little better than the B batch. I go back and forth. They were very close. Those should be out. The A batch is already out. I just haven't seen it here yet. Foreshadowing. And the B batch should be out a little bit later this year. I think they're both going to be a little bit higher proof than they were last year. They were a little bit low proof last year, and that got some criticism, but we'll see how they turn out. I think the A batch is higher proof than it was last year. We'll see where the B lands. The MSRP on these should be about 60, but around here, typically they are 80-ish. Depending on where you are, they might be more than that or less. I probably wouldn't spend more than 100, but that's just me, and it's your money to do with what you want. But I think those are the two I'm looking forward to most in the bourbon area here. Next up, we have the Angel's Envy Rye finished in ice cider casks. I don't know what an ice cider cask tastes like. I've never had ice cider, but I'm super curious about it. It's aged 7 years and then finished for 364 days in ice cider casks. That is supposed to be available in the next few days here, actually, as I'm recording. But that comes with a $250 price tag, which I think might be a little too rich for my blood for an experimental-ish rye that I don't know I'll like. It does have me super interested, though. There is peak interest here, so who knows? Maybe I'll cave and regret it later. You never know. Angel's Envy has done some weird stuff with finishing in the past that I thought some of it worked, some of it didn't. They've done some real expensive finished ryes. I think they were mostly ryes, but there might be some bourbons too. That did not seem to go over very well. So I feel like it's a crapshoot, but I'm curious. Next up, Kentucky Owl is doing a St. Patrick's edition. From what I know about this, it's all American bourbon, but they brought on a Irish master distiller to help, or a blender, one or the other, I forget, to help with the bottling. So St. Patrick's edition. The interesting thing about this is it's supposed to be a little bit cheaper. I think $130, which is fairly reasonable for a Kentucky Owl product. So it might be a cool way, or a cool bottle to grab and a cheaper entry point into that lineup. So I'm curious about that. If I see that, I'll probably pick that one up. Maybe. I'm not going to make any promises. Right now, if I saw it right now, I would pick it up, but who knows how I'll feel in 3 or 4 days. I'm whimsical like that. I like to do things on the fly. I'm spontaneous, indecisive, all of these things. Penelope Architect series. Penelope has done some pretty cool finished bourbons. I think everything I've had from Penelope has been really good, especially the higher proof stuff I like quite a bit. This is a bourbon finished with French oak staves and at 100 proof. So I'm pretty interested in that. That could be pretty cool. I don't know what the MSRP is on that one. That I think would make a big difference as far as how much I'm willing to try it. But who knows? I'm curious. At very least, I'm curious on that one. I think it'll be good. We got the Maker's Mark BRT01 wood finishing series. Their wood finishing series has been largely very good. I don't know that I'd say they've all been the absolute best that they've had, that Maker's Mark has had to offer, but they've definitely been in that category for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Most of these wood finishing series have been between $60 and $100, so hopefully this one comes in closer to the 60. I don't know if they've listed an MSRP for it yet. I haven't seen one. But if it's close to that 60, I will definitely pick this one up. I really enjoyed whatever the crazy letter alphanumerical labeling was on the last one that I can't recall off the top of my head, because their naming conventions are terrible. Because definitely when you think, hey man, which Maker's Mark should I pick up? You're going to remember BRT-01 as the name of the whiskey. Fantastic work. Everybody's really happy with that. The Wiseman Rye. I have not done an episode on the Wiseman bourbon, but I did pick that up and try it out. I think we tried it on the live stream with Greg. I think it's a good bourbon, although not necessarily remarkable. At the, I believe, $50 price tag, it's solid. It's like a maybe buy again, right? So I'm curious on the rye. I'd like to give that a shot. I think that'll be really fun to see what these like. These are Kentucky Owl products, but not in the tall Kentucky Owl labeled bottle. So I think it'll be fun to see how that translates, how their rye stuff translates into a cheaper offering. Hopefully good. We'll see. I think it's supposed to be a little over 100 proof, and I don't remember. I should have written it down. I think it's 90 or 95% rye, somewhere, and it's a real high rye. So looking forward to that. Just a couple left here on the coming up list, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the state of things in whiskey America right now, at least in New England for me. Blood Oath pack number 8, probably be about $100 if you can find it at MSRP. I picked up 7 last year. I thought it was really good, but maybe not worth the $100. But it comes in a cool bottle in a sweet box, so maybe I buy this one too, because why not, right? I do like that Blood Oath. It didn't hit the hype for me, but they are different every year, and they do have hitters and missers, so maybe this year is the year they win me over. Maybe this is the one, right? The Ardbeg committee release this year. I've never had an Ardbeg committee release I didn't like. I still have, 3 or 4 of them here. I like to save them. Savor them. Just sip at them because I love Ardbeg so much. I believe it's Hypernova this year. I keep seeing that, but I don't know if that's been officially announced. I went to Ardbeg's website and I couldn't pull it up anywhere, even when I searched Hypernova, but I've seen labeling for Hypernova on like Reddit and whatnot. So I believe it'll be Hypernova. They have done a Supernova, so maybe. And I'm sure it'll be awesome, and I'm sure it'll be really hard for me to find, and I'll probably end up paying more than it's supposed to cost. But I'm okay with that because I'm a Ardbeg fanboy with no self-respect, regardless of what my shirt says right now. It's a bit for the video audience here. And the last thing I have on this list is whatever the hell the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society comes up with. They pump out stuff like every month. I have no idea what's coming, but they have a lot of real interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to grabbing a couple bottles this year. I mean, both the bottles I bought last year were phenomenal. Really, really liked them quite a bit, so I can't imagine it won't be more of the same this year. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I pull a couple of bottles that are reasonable. That is the one problem with Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is I keep seeing, they send you the email blast. It's like this month's outturn, and you look at it, and there's like 5 that I really like, and they're like $700 a bottle, and then I feel sick to my stomach and cry a little and give up because I'm not doing that. That's not gonna happen. These ones here that I got, I think these were both around $200 a bottle. That's like usually my cap. That's about where I cap out. I'm not made of money, y'all. I can't just be spending $600, $700, $800 on a bottle of whiskey. I haven't hit it that big yet. You could help though. If you wanted me to hit it that big, you could be like Greg, Katie, Lauren, Joe, and the other fine folks who've joined me over at patreon.com/barrelhouse to help fund this ridiculous endeavor that I do out of the small corner of my basement that looks really cool. Besides this really crooked Litchfield sign that I didn't notice was crooked until I started recording, but I can't really like go over there and fix it without looking ridiculous, but I can fix that later. I do really appreciate all of you who pitch in over there at patreon.com/barrelhouse. It makes all this possible. It makes buying all this whiskey possible. It makes this microphone and the arm and all of the things, the camera you're watching me on and the quality of the audio you're hearing me at. All of those things are possible because you all like me, because you think it worth your $1 a month or your $3 a month or your $5, or in Whiskey Legend territory, your $20 a month, you crazy people, to keep this endeavor going. So thank you all very much. And if you too would like to hop in and be a part of this, be part of the Barrel House family and help keep this rolling, if you find value in the show and you think you could buy me an ounce of whiskey a month, if not even a quarter of an ounce a month, you could start at $1. Just pledge $1 a month over at patreon.com/barrelhouse and help me out. It would be tremendous. If you don't want to, just tell your friends to listen to the show. Spread the word. Get it out there. Now, for the heavy stuff. At what cost? I don't know if you noticed, a couple of those whiskeys were pretty expensive sounding, right? The Angel's Envy, the barrel proof coming in at probably 100 around here this year, be my guess, instead of 60 MSRP. Kentucky Owl at 130, and those are all MSRPs. Who knows what's going to actually come out to? This year I have walked into, it was a little bit last year, but, well, I should say a little bit in 2020, but a lot in 2021, and it seems to be getting worse. Walking into liquor store shelves with shelves that are almost completely empty. Whole rows with no whiskey. Just barren wastelands where joy and happiness used to thrive and live. And I've also seen inflated price tags on more and more stuff that never used to be considered rare. Even at bars, I've seen, you know, bars local to here that had really reasonable prices, like, you know, 3-ounce pours of Weller Full Proof for $12, $14. That stuff's all approaching $23, $24, $25 now, you know? I think maybe this is a combination of supply chain stuff, probably a lot of demand. I think a lot of people are drinking a lot more now than they were, and that's probably putting a higher demand on whiskey in general. And whiskey takes time to age. You can't just turn on the output faucet and have more the same day, right? Same year even. So I think there's multiple factors here. I don't know. I don't have an inside line to the supply of whiskey, but it does sure seem like it's harder to find more things, and things cost more now. And it becomes tougher and tougher to recommend starter whiskeys and getting into this hobby at the price it's costing. Or people ask, hey, what would you pay for this bottle? Asking, that's the toughest question now. Hey, how much should I pay for X? Well, 2.5 years ago, you could get X for $60. And now you look on your local alcohol delivery app and everybody has it for $140. That's a tough one to answer. If you can't get it for less than that, do you just not have it? Is it just not the hobby for you? I'm very rigid on not wanting to pay more than MSRP on stuff. I very rarely go more than $8 to $10 over MSRP. But do I have to get more flexible on that now? Do I have to move my line in the sand to a more tolerant level of being financially abused by small businesses? I don't know. I've been struggling with that a little bit lately, going to the liquor store and looking at, you know, handwritten price tags that are covering up cheaper handwritten price tags because they know whatever they're selling, they can probably get more for it because somebody who's not paying super close attention is just going to spend it. I don't know. It's tough. A lot of people are asking me. I've been getting the questions a lot. How much should I pay for? How much should I pay for this? How much should I pay for that? What's a good starter whiskey? That's a real tough one now because people want a starter whiskey that's like $30. But at least locally to me, all the starter whiskeys that I used to recommend in that $30 range are close to $50 now. And getting someone to take a risk at $50 a bottle is much harder than it was at $30. I don't like it, not because I can't swing the extra 20 for, or even like the extra 10 for a bottle of Monkey Shoulder that seems to be $10 more than it was last year, or whatever it might be. It's not that, but it's like, it's hard to, I don't want this hobby to suffer horribly because of the inflating prices, and they seem to be inflating very quickly. This could be totally regional to me. If you are somewhere not in the New England area listening to this and you're going to the store not seeing this, I would love to hear if I am just a victim of my environment or if this is kind of a nationwide thing. Like, I'm curious how bad this is in Kentucky near all these distilleries, or in like Washington, like the Pacific Northwest, where a lot of up and coming distilleries, or Colorado or Texas, where there's a lot of up and coming distilleries. Are their prices all going through the roof rapidly, or is this just kind of like national brands that have big audiences and huge demands right now? So if you have like input on that, I would love for you to in the comments or on the Instagram or whatever, jump in and let me know where your local whiskey market is at. Cause it sucks here. I'll be honest, I won't hold anything back. The whiskey market here right now is brutal, and it's becoming more and more difficult to recommend starters and help get people, which is my favorite thing. My favorite thing in whiskey is bringing new people to it and showing them the wide world of whiskey and all of the things they can enjoy. And it's getting hard to do that now, as people really, especially people who are used to just drinking cheap vodka or like bottom shelf gin or tequila, right? Like just whatever their shots are, getting them to step from Smirnoff to $50 a bottle of whiskey is not easy. There's a way bigger gap there. So I'm curious to see how this goes going forward. I am still going to do my best to make every human being I meet a whiskey fanatic. I'm hoping there's a few of you watching right now who are on your path to becoming a whiskey fanatic, or are just starting, or are well on the path. And I hope all of you plow forward and meet this challenge head on and with vigor. But I think we're in for some tough months. Hopefully not tough years. Maybe like a tough year, one more tough year. We'll see though. But that's really all I have. I mean, I wish I had like a tidy way to wrap that up that was nice. But I think we are in a place now with whiskey where there's a lot of questions and no answers. And this probably isn't just whiskey. I'm sure if I was tuned way into the fancy rum or fancy tequila market, there'd probably be some similar questions to be asked. But I'm not. So here I am in the whiskey market thinking about a lot of this stuff and not having answers. So here's a good question. This is how I'll wrap this up. A couple of questions for you to reach out to me with answers. I would love to hear these answers. First, what's the market like for you? Have you noticed giant price changes or trends towards price changing wildly? Second, in the current economic world we live in, where things in general are getting more expensive, does that mean you're willing to spend more on your whiskey, or even if it's not whiskey, your drink of choice? Or does that mean you're willing to spend less on it because of the environmental pressure of groceries being more, or environmental economic pressure? That's what I meant. Of groceries being more expensive and gas being more expensive. I mean, I just filled up the heating oil in my house. It was $1,000 to fill the tank. It usually costs about $400. So obviously everything's getting more expensive. Does that mean you're willing to spend less? Or are you just kind of like, well, whiskey used to cost twice, a bottle of whiskey cost twice as much of a steak before, and steak's $10 a pound more, or $10 a steak more than it was before. So whiskey can be $20 more and we're still twice as much. Did you do your willingness to spend just double with everything? Or are you in the same place that a lot of people are, where this stuff is taking a beating because you're spending your money elsewhere? Let me know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how this is affecting the hobby from your point of view. You can do that at barrelhousepodcast@gmail.com. You can go to eargluemedia.com/Discord and see me in there. Barrel House Podcast on all the social media, obviously. Go to barrelhousepodcast.com. All the links for everything will be there, including the latest episodes, schedules for live streams once I have a live stream to schedule. All that stuff will be there, including links to the merch store and to Earglue Media and all that stuff. So check it out there. And until we meet again, until we meet again, drink whiskey, be merry, and take care. The Barrel House is written, produced, and hosted by Joe Kane, and it's a proud member of the Earglue Media Network. The views and opinions expressed on this show belong only to the mouth they came out of. And as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Slanjava.